Hello, everybody, and welcome to Kick Conflict to the Curb, the place that people want to come when they want to stomp out their stress. I have a question for you. Do you know the definition of imposter syndrome? Has anybody ever mentioned that to you and you would say, huh? Or you know all about it and you want to go deep? Well, today's special guest and I are going to take this apart, and I am very excited. So you're going to have to wait for 30 seconds before you meet Diane Bogino.
Take a ride, ride of your life. Take a ride. If you're feeling out of balance and you're put to the test, take the ride of your life to reach your personal best.
Hello, Diane Bogino, and welcome to Kick Conflict to the Curb.
Hello, Joyce Weiss. I'm glad to be here with you today.
Did we call each other about the dress code or something?
I got the memo, didn't you?
Oh, great. I obviously sent it to you and not to me. I didn't, but this is so cool. Blue is the power. So I have a wonderful intro for you. And I am so impressed with the different dynamics of your personality. So are you ready for my
I
viewers?
think so.
Okay. Over 2 decades of experience as a coach, behavioral scientist, entrepreneur, human behavior analyst, and working in a variety of industries affords Diane Bogino a perspective for business, building teams, challenging cultures, and career development that is rare in the coaching field. Coaching includes clients from around the globe. As founder and president of Performance Strategies Incorporated, Diane has collaborated with people from a variety of fields, including medical, education, hospitality, executive recruiting, banking, manufacturing, pest control, government, agencies, and of course, more. In a former life, this is what really got me, folks. Diane was an actor and model. We see why. She appeared in a movie and in numerous commercials and did a national spot for Delta Airlines. She also did voiceovers, print and runway modeling. At one time, she was a magic clown known as Daffy Diane. Some say she still is. She also performed magic as her self-winning Magician of the Year for Greater Atlanta. Well, I know I had more in this, but I decided just to stop now. You sure have a lot to offer.
Well, when you've been on the planet as long as I have, you have time to do that.
Well, we've got lots of questions about the imposter syndrome. And excuse me, as I'm just trying to maneuver myself around here so I'm not an imposter. How would you describe imposter syndrome, Diane?
Well, without going into the Freudian explanation, it's really when you feel down on yourself, you never feel good enough, you feel like you don't measure up to other people, and you're constantly talking in a negative manner to yourself.
Oh, that's perfect. God, I ask guests questions like that, and there could be 30 minutes right there. Thank you. So what are some of the causes of imposter syndrome?
Well, there are several, but for me, it was upbringing, not being in a good environment. I was an abused foster welfare child, never having anyone believing in you, not having your back, telling you you can be anything that you want to be. I just kind of had to figure it out for myself. So your environment growing up has a great deal to do with how you feel about yourself.
And I have to ask, how did you break through since you didn't have that warm, loving experience in your past and you were told these negative things? Lucky you, lucky us that you broke through. What if you remember, do you know what it was? It just, woo, boom, I'm done.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I feel like I'm been very fortunate that I'm an optimist, and that really is a great tool to have in your toolbox, believe it or not, because optimists are more successful than people who are not optimists. And there's been studies about that. Plus, I like to learn. So I read a lot and I learned how to manage myself better, learned about how to be at work and love to learn different things like that. But one day in my mid 30s, I had an epiphany. I came home to this very house I'm in right now. You didn't know I knew those big words, did you? Like epiphany.
I didn't. Where's my dictionary? Okay.
But I came home, had an epiphany, and I suddenly realized that all of my friends, how they talked about themselves in a very positive manner. And I was always down on myself, always miserable. And it suddenly hit me, life shouldn't be like this. I really shouldn't feel this way. That's when I started my first therapy.
Wow. See, instead, what I love about your mindset is that instead of comparing yourself to them, like there may have been some of it, I'm not putting you up here like you're a hero, which you really are, because I've read your books and I know your work. You did something in a constructive way and said, if they can do it, why can't I?
Yeah.
So, yay.
Yeah.
So, how do we know if we are experiencing it? There may be some people watching right now and say, I've never heard about it. What is this? And how do I know that I don't have imposter syndrome?
Yeah. Well, much of what I just talked about, if you're constantly down on yourself, if you talk to yourself like every time you make a mistake, you call yourself an idiot, maybe you're depressed most of the time, you have a lack of energy or not getting into life the way you should, comparing yourself to other people, feeling like you don't measure up, those are certainly signs that you need to take a look at. Those are clues right there.
Oh, and do you think that more women, I can't believe I'm asking this, but I've got to. Do you think that more women are involved with the imposter syndrome?
Well, Joyce, that's really a good question. And I think that a lot of people believe that because men, we in our society hold men up to be so macho, but really everybody suffers from from it at one time or another, even CEOs. Recently, I ran across a podcast, believe it or not, about that very topic, talking to CEOs and how they suffer from imposter syndrome many times, some quite often. And they go into these, get in funky situations or funky moods and self-doubt just as anybody else does. I don't care what your profession is. I don't care what
Mhm.
your gender is. You will probably suffer from it at one time or another. Some people may suffer for longer periods of time, and that's a serious thing.
And I'm so glad I asked that question because there are so many of my clients, both male and female, who experience it. And they don't know. And we don't know until we're fortunate enough to either work with a coach or we have a friend or like you on your own, you figured it out. But when I began as a speaker, and I think you're going to be able to relate, or maybe you won't. Um, and I went to the National Speakers Association, and I was new in the field, and I'm watching all these people on the grand stage, saying to myself, "I'm never going to be able to be like that. I'm never going to look like that. I don't have suits like that. I sure don't have stories like that." And that was called imposter syndrome. And Joyce Weiss, the host, experienced it until I was fortunate enough to share that with a couple people in the hallways. And they said, we did that too. Give yourself some time, learn the trade, study from the ones who you were jealous from, and that'll disappear. And it did.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I'm glad that you brought up that article. So, can imposter syndrome cause conflict in the workplace? Not that I'm interested in that topic.
Yes, yes, yes. Let's take a scenario. Let's say you have one of those really good bosses that wants to see you succeed, right? So they maybe introduce you to opportunities for you to develop yourself, or they might even want to see you get promoted, but you never take advantage of a training or go after that
Mm.
next step. They're going to go, what is this? Who have I got here? It can also cause conflicts in relationships.
Wait, stop there. Put a pin on the relationships, because I want to go back to what a missed opportunity that we all do because of what you just said. So what would you tell someone? I had to interrupt you.
It's okay.
Just because that was a comma, and I have a feeling there are a few commas. So people who are watching, who may be going through the same thing, offered a promotion, decided to turn it down because maybe they didn't know it was called imposter syndrome. What would you tell them? What suggestions would you give?
They have to, first of all, ask themselves, why am I constantly turning down these great opportunities? And look,
Mhm.
Joyce, there are some people that don't want to, be a manager or have a lot of responsibility.
Sure.
And that's fine, well and good. But you also have to take the consequences in that you are not going to get that higher pay so you can enjoy a better life for you and your family. So if you're going to have a better life, have a better salary, then yes, you do have to take advantage of those opportunities. Let's look at it from the organization side. A job is only worth so much money. So if you're going to be an admin all your life, that's fine, but you're not going to make a CEO salary.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's perfect. So take a look at the ramifications, what kind of risks. And the thing is that you said from the previous question, people, it doesn't matter what level they're at, they've all experienced, or most of us have experienced imposter syndrome. It's okay. It's normal to be afraid of taking on, but just so those of you who are watching, Diane and I belong to Video Rockstars. And in the last couple of years, those of us who have jumped into this new world of online training and using Zoom, and for me, StreamYard, we jumped in. There was no time for imposter syndrome. Isn't that true, Diane?
That's true. And Joyce, I'm glad you said that, because one of the videos I just did and edited, it'll be up in a few Fridays, was about taking risk. And I start out asking the question, are you willing to take a risk to build a better career? And if you don't take risk in life, I don't care if it's business, life, relationships, whatever it might be, even in sports, you're not going to grow and succeed.
Yes.
That's just the equation.
I love it. Thank you. So this was the first comma. Then you were saying leadership. Hopefully, do you remember where you were in that?
Well, we were talking about relationships,
Yes.
and I was going to ask you, who wants to be around a Debbie Downer or Dan Downer all day long? Nobody. So you're going to run into conflict if you are constantly playing the victim. Oh my God, that victim thinking, you got to get rid of that. Been there, done that. It is no fun.
Yes. And let's say let's say you, Diane, you're working with me, and I'm Debbie Downer, and we're colleagues. And what would you say to me? And we're friends. I mean, we are colleagues. Maybe you're going to end up telling me the truth. What would you say to me? I didn't know that I had imposter. I didn't know that I was bringing the team down. Poor everybody else is getting the promotion.
Yeah.
What would you say to me?
I might ask you, do you want the promotion? So, as a coach, Joyce, we always lay it back into the other person's lap, because they have
Yes.
to figure that out. So that's a good question. Do you want the promotion? And if they say yes, then there are more questions to ask about that. Well, what do you think the first step might be to get that promotion? Or what do you think you need to do? Or what haven't you done that so-and-so did, or something like that, to get them thinking about, well, I can do it if you do these steps.
What an answer, because it's non-judgmental. I mean, we know that Diane is a coach, folks, because she asks good questions. That wouldn't be judgmental. Do I want the promotion? No, then whatever comes out of the person's mouth, you'll know. You don't? Fine. Then we can go on to talk about it, whatever it is. If you do, then there's another question.
Right.
Yes, you are so good. So wait, is there any other conflict that you want to talk about? If not, I've got.
Well, those, relationships and working, I mean, those are the ones that we deal with pretty much every single day.
Perfect.
So those are
Yes.
pretty important.
Yes, and even at home, we could add a conflict at work. What about conflict
sure.
at home? I
Yes,
mean, it's the
absolutely.
same. Yeah.
Yeah,
Debbie
if you
Downer.
have you can have a couple where the one is an optimist and one is negative,
Mhm.
and that can certainly cause conflict. And there's reasons behind that negativity. So unless they get to the root of it, it's not going to change. So yes, that can definitely cause conflict in a intimate relationship as well.
The imposter syndrome. Many of us know what it is. Many of us don't. It's a very important syndrome to get to know, because whether you have it or a loved one, and the good news is we can all work on it. Diane talked about what she did as a younger woman, from being brought up in the foster system, and I talked about it as being a younger, newer speaker, and it was just written all over. And we know people who have imposter syndrome in some of the groups that we belong to, because they are afraid to take risks. That's okay. They're not ready. Again, I'm not saying everybody is that they're risk takers, but just to be aware of it, whether it's you or someone else.
Yeah, and even if you are afraid, you still have to work through that fear. I mean, we're all afraid because we don't know what's at the other end. But
Yes.
that's the key, is working through that fear and taking calculated risks.
Yes, and asking the question to yourself, what risk do I take if I don't jump in with my feet first?
Good
What's
one.
the worst thing that's going to happen? We could do our own interview. Maybe we will, Diane, because I know you're very transparent and authentic. All the bloopers in our life, wouldn't that be fun?
I would get arrested. I don't know about you, but
Okay. No, I wouldn't. I'm just so much better. No, of course I would. So what are some activities or exercises that people can do to overcome and even conquer the imposter syndrome?
well, you and I had a post on LinkedIn, or you had a post on LinkedIn that I commented on, and that is start with your negative self-talk. It is the quickest, easiest, least expensive way to begin getting over imposter syndrome. Stop that negative self-talk. Even if you have to say stop out loud the minute you hear or realize those negative thoughts are coming in your head. I did. I had to say stop out loud to myself to make it work for me. So do what you have to do. Second, stop comparing yourself to other people. There's always going to be somebody richer, poorer, prettier, ugly, taller, shorter, thinner, fatter, whatever. Always. You are unique. You have special talents. You need to use the strengths that you have. So stop comparing yourself to other people. And you can take baby steps. For example, let's take decision making.
Okay.
You can make a decision as simple as being at the supermarket. You see these two lines, right? They might both be long, but you're looking and you're observing and you're saying, okay, which one's going to go the fastest? Quick decision, easy decision, get in the line. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, but it is a decision. Make a decision. But that's how you start building strength in any area that you want.
Love that. Stop is number one. Mine is boom. When I go to sleep and I want to turn my mind off of, oh my God, I've got so much to do tomorrow. How am I going to do it all? Whether it's the word stop, boom, whatever it is, you can tell yourself it works. The minute it's a trigger for me, Diane.
I love that.
The
That's
minute
great.
I hear boom, I stop. Now, I wish I could do that when I eat my chocolate chips, but I guess I'm not ready to overcome that syndrome. So then stop comparing yourself to others. And the minute we do, that's when your word stop or my word boom comes in. Because right now there's somebody that's going to be comparing themselves to us and whatever it is that we're doing well. But we take our skills that we do well for granted. And they're so, we don't even realize sometimes, as you know, some people think they're better than they are, and others, it's the opposite. And I just love your exercises. I love it.
Oh, good.
Now, is there anything else about the imposter syndrome that we didn't discuss that I left out?
Well, some ways to recognize it are if you're a perfectionist, if you do overwork, or if you feel like you never have enough information or enough experience, or you haven't written enough books. Those are clues too. And I'll do a commercial about the assessments. You use assessments, I use assessments. That is one great way to assess yourself about really being sure of your talents. One of the assessments I use gives people their competencies, 25 of them in rank order. So you can see right there in black and white. And if it's scientifically based, that's going to give you a great place, a jumping off place to start believing in yourself more.
Yes. Yes. And may I ask, what is this particular assessment that you use?
It's the Trimetrics HD.
And I'm going to put, actually, I could put your information on right now. If people who want to find out about it, can they call you at your number and email you to?
Absolutely. My number is 404-320-7834. And they can email me at Diane@DianeBogino.com.
Great. So taking, and especially the strengths, and what a great coaching tool for you to have to help people, especially if they are going through I'm too old, I can't go for a job anymore. I just talked to somebody 35 yesterday, a new coaching client, and that's what she said.
Oh,
she said, I'm 35. Okay.
Did you smack her?
Oh no, the coaching, I couldn't.
And
it was on a Zoom call. I really was sitting on my hands, but I did, ask her the questions of what, if age wasn't an issue, what are your strengths? And we were able to work through that, but that's
dear.
great.
That's sad.
So this is the last question before I ask people how you already told them, but what else you can do, because I love what you do at DianeBogino.com, at Performance Strategies Incorporated. Are you ready for the last question?
Okay.
Okay. Drum rolls. Woo! You were in a time machine. You're going back to your 18-year-old self. Diane is going to talk to Diane. What would you tell your 18-year-old self?
I would tell myself, you're not too stupid to go to college, because I did not go to college until I was in my 40s because I thought I was too stupid to go to college.
There you go.
Say, be more patient. Don't leave home. I left my aunt and uncle. They went to buy groceries, so I ran away from home. Stay at home a little longer. Yeah, save your money and get your education. That's what I would tell myself. Yes.
Wow. So even back then, coming from now to then, you would be telling the same thing that you talk about on your videos. So that's why it was easy. And we didn't rehearse this, folks. She didn't know I was going to ask her this question. No, you didn't. But that's excellent. And I know when someone, and I'll just tell you that one of my HR professionals who I'm friends with on LinkedIn, Brennan O'Leary, he asked me that question when I said at the end of my interview with him, what burning question would you have for Joyce if we met for coffee? And he said, what would you tell your 18-year-old self if you were in a time machine? And you went right into it. I had to pause and think. And then I immediately said, never let anybody stop you, because that was mine. That was mine. And I own it. And until even a few years ago, people were still trying to say, why are you still working? What are you getting into this online stuff for, or whatever? So that's great. I loved your answer. Well, Diane, we can see how people can reach you, but tell us, what kind of services could you offer my viewers that you feel they would be interested in? Their either corporate or their HR, their managers, employees. Some people are retired too, who watch, but most are employed. What services could you help them with?
Well, my tandem team X-ray system is great for corporations because it helps people work better together, collaborate, builds better cultures. And I'm actually starting a mastermind group. I don't know if you even knew this. Build a Better Career Mastermind, and if they go to Build a Better Career YouTube channel, they'll get tips, little short videos on building a better career. So and they actually work in tandem, because if people aren't building their careers, they can't be good team members. And if you're going to have a strong team, you've got to have people that are willing to build their careers.
Wow. So can you tell us more about this mastermind? Can you give us more details, please? It sounds, and I did know, but I don't know the details. So I'm asking for me so I can refer people to you, or maybe even sign up.
Sure. It starts January the 27th, and they actually get that Trimetrics HD when they sign up, which makes this pretty unique. And then we go through that, piece by piece during the 6 months that this mastermind goes on. And so they help each other with their tips and tricks and techniques that they've used to build a better career. Because, as I said, having a job is great. There's no harm in having a job. But if you want a better life and a better salary, you have to build a better career.
Wow. I love that. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
And even for those of you who are watching this after January of 2022, you're going to be having these periodically. So
absolutely,
reach out to Diane if you're interested, and to see if she's still running them. I'm sure she will be.
Absolutely.
Diane Bogino, would you please return as a guest?
Absolutely. Absolutely. If you're going to pay me what you're paying me today, I'll be back.
Well, what I just received from you is I got chills a few times when you were speaking on some of your answers. So absolutely, it'll be the same fee. Friendship. Friendship.
I'll tell you, nothing's more valuable than that.
No, you're right. But don't tell our clients this. So, because we love them too. Well, listen, thank you so much for joining us and Kick Conflict to the Curb. And we are going to have Diane Bogino back.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, I sure hope that you enjoyed the interview that Diane Bogino and Joyce Weiss just had. And please leave comments if this is going to be on my vlog, and what questions you have for either Diane or me. And what topics would you like? The imposter syndrome came from an idea that one of you came up with. So please tell me what other topics, and I'll get guests. Of course, Diane is going to be coming back. So until next time, I'm your host, Joyce Weiss. And remember, you get what you tolerate. Thanks for watching.